Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast and video. I'm your host, Julie Boyer, and today I have a very special friend and guest, Sara Martel. Good morning, Sara.
Hi, Julie.
I am so excited to finally have you on the podcast. It's been a while that I've been thinking about inviting Sara to be a guest on the podcast. And the reason is, to me, Sara is the one friend that really embodies resilience. And she's going to share with us parts of her story today that to help us all understand how you build resilience. Just like building a gratitude practice, resilience is something you build over time. Sara has been through a lot and she's still smiling. She's still grateful. And I just think there's a lot for us to learn from Sara. So she is actually the creator of the Midlife MOJO Movement, which is such a fantastic way for women to connect with, women going through the kind of the same things and in a very positive environment and also a very real and authentic way. And Sara and I are actually connected through our product partner, USANA Health Sciences. We've been working together for I think over 13 years. It's just such a joy to have you in my life, Sara, and I'm excited to share you with my audience. So I would love for you to share your story. And we don't always go back to people's childhood, but I think in terms of resilience, I feel like your childhood will kind of share a little bit about how that has become part of your story. So if you don't mind kind of starting there for us.
Sure, I would love to. Just so happy that you've invited me to this, and I'm so proud of you and all that you're doing with this podcast as well, Julie. You're helping thousands of people with your voice, and you're just such a great, powerful communicator. So I really look up to you for that. My childhood. Wow, what an interesting childhood. I am a French Canadian born in the Greater Montreal area in Quebec, Canada. And when I was 4 years old, we moved to the US. My parents, neither one of them spoke English. My dad was this driven kind of guy who wanted to give us a bigger opportunity in life. And so he moved us to, we moved around through the US for the first 4 or 5 years of my childhood. And mostly I grew up in New York State, in central New York. And I went to school there all the way through my high school. And as a French Canadian, speaking very little English, having to learn a second language, being from a French language family, raised in French at home, we always stood out a little bit. And I remember that was where I started building my resilience, because as you know, as a child and as a teenager, we want to feel like we belong, we want to sort of fit in. And so we always stood out a little bit. I look back now in hindsight, it really meant that we were extraordinary, we were unique. And I think my journey through life feeling, special started there. So I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then didn't you live overseas as well?
Yes. So when I was in 8th grade, my dad, next opportunity for him, he thought it would be wonderful for the family to move to North Africa. So we lived in Algeria, and I went to high school there, to an accredited American school with a whole bunch of other kids from all over the world. So that was really, really cool. And it totally opened up my world. And again, rather than seeing the world as a very small place, it was very global to me at a very young age. And so, lived in Algeria, North Africa, went to school with people from every corner of the world. It's a really neat environment, but it was also difficult because then I did not graduate with those kids whom I developed a really close relationship with. It was a very special bond, as you can pretty much understand. Yeah. In 12th grade, I moved back to the US, to New York State, Oswego, New York, if anyone's ever heard of it, near Syracuse, New York. And I went to high school there for my senior year. That was a really, really tough time for me because I was sort of transplanted into this place where I had not, been for the last 3-4 years. And I felt a bit lost. I would say there, I developed a little bit of clinical depression, panic disorder. I don't know if I even told you that, Julie. So I think it was the culture shock of returning from overseas and living a really cool life for the last 3 years, and just sort of being transported back to the US, where I felt a bit lost. So that was definitely where you know, I built more resilience, trying to get through that.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting part of your story that I didn't know about. And it harkens a little bit back to, makes me think about the move we did for our daughter. We moved, across Canada when she was in second grade, and she went through the incredible difficulty with transition and moving. And, I actually get that question from other people, like, when should I move with my kids? And I think on one hand, it's always going to be difficult to take your kids out of their environment, right? There's always going to be difficulty. It's always going to be a challenge. And like you said, sometimes you're going to develop, anxiety, maybe panic, which happened to my daughter. You mentioned for you as well. On the other hand, this skill of resilience, this skill of understanding the world in a different way, of being able to make friends in different communities, are skills that are very hard to teach if you stay in the same place, doing the same thing all the time. And so that's really interesting, Sara, that's part of your story as well. And you ended up back in Canada. You were in Montreal for a while, and you worked in television for many years. Yes?
Yes, I did. That was my passion. I went to Concordia University and finished off a degree in journalism, and then worked through my, internship, and ended up at a television station in Montreal, CTV Montreal. That's what it's called today. Loved my career. And I was there for, I guess, almost 20 years, 15 years, I think. 15 to 20 years. I can't do the math right now, but, and then we moved to Ontario, Canada. And so that was my next chapter of life, raising 2 kids. A lot of wonderful things happened here in Ontario, and yeah.
And you're married. How long have you and John been married now?
Oh my goodness, we've been married almost 27 years with 2 children who are, 19 and 22. I don't know how that happened. It happened so quickly, but it's been such a blessing, and we're a good team, the 4 of us. We've been through a lot together.
Yeah. Yes, you have. And we're going to get into some of the bits of that really challenging story. There's one part of your story, though, which is kind of when I met you, that I really find interesting, that I want to acknowledge, is when you and I met, you had a very successful event planning business. I mean, it's so in line with your personality, and you love to throw parties, and you're full of energy and enthusiasm. And you and your business partner, you had this great event planning business. So tell us a little bit about what happened with that business. Because you're not doing it today, that's for sure.
No, I'm not. It was an absolute blessing. 5 years working with one of my best friends, Susan. It was such a creative outlet for us, for both of us. It was a sort of a springboard into entrepreneurship. And we just woke up every day super excited to create. We had a lot of success, some really high profile clients. Although we loved what we did, and that's a huge part of resilience, is to, love the journey and enjoy what you're doing every minute. We weren't making any money, really. We finally sat down after 5 years and took a look at our tax returns. We looked at our numbers, and then 2008 hit, and suddenly no one needed an event planner. So I think that's when we realized, we need to maybe, preserve our energy, find other ways to create, but we need to sort of decide where we're going to turn on that, in the fork in that road. Are we going to continue and further invest financially with the time and the energy it takes to build something significant, or do we want to just stop here? And that's what we did. We decided to close doors. No regrets. We loved our journey. It was so much fun. Susan and I are still wonderful friends. We're in fact looking at maybe creating some other endeavors together. And it really isn't about the money at this point in our lives. It's more about enjoying the journey. We can talk about that, but that's basically what happened with this event planning business.
I think that also that part of your story right now is important for a lot of people who are going through that time right now. I mean, we're going through a very difficult time. We're in a global pandemic. We have not just recession numbers, we're heading towards depression numbers of unemployment. Some sectors are booming and growing like crazy. I was just on a webinar about podcasting, and it's like you can't get microphones. Like they just aren't available. Like webcams, they aren't available. My husband was trying to get a new green screen. They're not available. So like all these certain businesses, and our business with USANA Health Sciences is booming. But like you said, if you have an event planning business right now, today, you're going to have to pivot and change, because big events are not coming back for a while. And it takes a lot of courage as well to say, this is when the journey is done and it's time to move forward. And then you invested, more time and energy into your business with USANA, which is a different kind of revenue stream. It's a residual business. I did a number of podcasts explaining kind of why that's so important and why that works. And for you, that's been your career for some time now. And you've been through a lot. So in the past, I don't know, 5 years it's been, this is what I'm just going to recount what I know of your journey, and maybe you can, expand on it, but you've seen your dad deal with cancer and survive.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister deal with cancer and survive. Your daughter went through some very, very difficult mental health challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did she survive, she's thriving. And you've been through some incredibly difficult health challenges with your husband. And, Sara, like through all of this, like, I don't know if you want to expand a little bit about how you've been able to get through this. And most of the time you're still smiling. Like, this is the part of your story that I don't really understand, is how you're still here and you're still smiling when you've been through so much.
Well, I truly believe things don't happen to us, they happen for us. I know that's a cliche, but it is so true. And although it sounds like we've been hit really hard, we have. I think at one point in life, we're all going to be hit, right? And I think if we look back on our lives, we've all had challenges. It just so happens our family happened all at once. So, so I don't think that we're special in that way. I just think it's how we respond to what happens to us, right? So just like you said with COVID-19 and how people are kind of looking at different ways to live their lives, I think that's what's really cool about when things happen to you. And that's what resilience is really reinventing ourselves and trying to look at life in a different perspective and knowing that there is a reason for everything. I truly believe that. And you're talking to me about all that's happened to us. And I don't feel like we are victims. I don't feel like it's been that bad, because there have been so many life lessons in all of that and so much gratitude, right? Mm. When things happen to us or for us, we can really examine closely perhaps what the life lessons are that come along with that. So really that's how I describe it. It's been a great journey. Would I want to do it over again? Yeah, maybe some things, maybe not, but the fact that we got through it, we all live with core values. So if you hold on to those core values really tight as you're, taking this ride through life, it's going to get you through everything. So for me, my core values are faith, are joy, are having fun, laughter, humor. I'm lucky enough to have been raised by a family where we laugh so much. My mom and dad, I get on the phone with them and for whatever reason, they make me laugh. John, he's a funny guy. He's been able to have a smile through all this. And so what's really cool too, is we've inspired other people to look at our situation and say, look, there's far worse out there than what we're going through. So all this to say that there's no reason to feel sorry for anyone, because things happen to us for a really good reason. And we come out of it better and stronger. And I would like to say today that John got through his chemo. He had a surprise colon cancer diagnosis, got through 6 months of chemo. There were dark days, but here we are today. He's feeling amazing. We're scheduled for a CT scan. As you can see, I say we because we're doing this together. We are going we've gone through this together. We're going to be going through the CT scan, and hopefully we will have a cancer-free report card. I feel it in my gut. It's going to be the case. And now we can just enjoy every moment that we have. What a gift, right? If you don't go through life with no challenges, how are you going to possibly grow and learn and be grateful? So
I mean, the darkness is what allows for the light. I mean,
absolutely.
There isn't the two don't live without each other. And I agree that the two, I've been through some tough things too. And like it's that ability to look back and say, well, this is, the life lesson that came out of this. Did I choose to grow? Did I choose to learn? Or did I choose to wallow in self-pity? Both are options, both are choices. Neither one is easy to do, but I think there is something to be said too about fundamentally you and John have a personality that has that joy as like joy and fun is a foundation. I wanted to ask you though, you've just seen your husband through 6 months of chemotherapy. Before that, not long, I guess not even a year before, you held his hand while he went through sepsis. Not long before that, you were there for him while he experienced sight loss and surgery that that's healing. I know was very difficult. He really couldn't do very much. So, Sara, you've been a caregiver for your spouse and your partner off and on for several years now. And I just want to know, like, what do you do for Sara? Like, what are your habits and things that you do that allow you to get through all of this trauma and still finding joy and fun? What does that look like for you?
Well, I am always trying to seek things that are going to put me in that high vibration. And that might be musical theater. Love my musical theater. I've performed for the last 2 decades. Vocal lessons with a vocal coach. Self-care, huge. I mean, it totally makes sense to me that if we want to show up for others, especially if we're going to be a caregiver, we have to put that oxygen mask on. So daily, I ask myself, what is it that I am to do to feel my best? And that is taking my high quality supplements. It's a no-brainer for me. We're fortunate that we know about USANA and we know about the science behind these USANA products, and that they make a huge, huge difference. If we are healthy at a cellular level, then we're going to be able to show up feeling our best.
Yep.
And with that, we can confront life's challenges much, much better and show up for others. Faith is a huge one for me. I, believe that God is there. There's a source, a universe, whatever you want to call it. There's something outside ourselves that help us carry through life. What else? Joy, fun.
What about taking care of your dogs?
Oh my gosh, how can I forget? Yes. Now, what a blessing. This is why I believe that things happen for us. So about 4 years ago, I kind of stumbled upon this wonderful little side gig, walking dogs. And then it turned into boarding dogs. So we have about we have about a dozen dogs that we love. My family and I, they're totally in on this with me. Ella and Kenya and Brooklyn and Sam and Jack. And there's so many.
Little Jack.
Yes.
And you guys don't actually own a dog.
No, we don't own a dog.
But there's always a dog in your house.
So yes, we get our daily pet therapy, and they are just so wonderful because they teach us exactly what it is to live in the moment.
Yeah.
So while we're worried about problems and what we don't have, and we'll be happy when we have this, they're like, I'm just happy hanging out with you right now. You are the best thing in my life. So this is what they teach us every day, right? I know you had.
Sorry, I was going to say, and it's your physical exercise.
Yes, so I get well, it's gone down a little bit this
Yeah.
in this time of COVID, but yes, I get my 10,000 steps in at least. I get this wonderful money that I manifest through something I love, which is a really great lesson right there.
Yeah.
Find something you love, and you will create abundance.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of seen us through some really difficult times. There were times where these dogs sat by John as he was going through a tough time, and a guy who didn't think he was a dog guy, is now, yeah, he's like, "Where's Ella? Is Ella coming over today?" So yeah, it's really, really cool, and it's been a huge help to Olivia as well, for
That's,
mental wellness.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just wonderful creatures, and they're just such a gift. So
And you're providing a service for other people.
oh,
That's what's so cool. It's like you could just have a dog, right? You could just have a
absolutely.
family dog, but you actually, you're doing this, you're providing a service for other people. Especially, I mean, I remember seeing pictures of you. You're like selfie snapping in like a foot of snow. It's freezing cold, and you're like smiling with your dogs walking because other people are either at work or not able to take their dogs out the way that you have been taking care of them. So it's a really, really amazing way to have that pet therapy and then also be of service to a lot of people. And I think that's what I love about you, Sarah, is you do think about others so much. You have such a caring and giving heart. And I want to just like observe for one moment, as I was thinking about all these things that you've been supporting your family through, all the challenges with your daughter that she went through in, late elementary school and high school, then your husband with his vision. I mean, that whole thing has been going on for over a decade. Um, you are healthy. You've stayed healthy.
Yes.
Like, let's just pause for a minute. This is a testament to, you mentioned about self-care and taking care of you. You've shown us that you can still care for others and be there for others and be selfless in that way, but you never forget to take care of yourself, because if you weren't taking care of yourself through all of this, it's likely we would see you going through some kind of traumatic illness or something. I mean, there's the stress alone. And I mean, I'm sure the fun and the joy and all that helps too. It helps reduce stress, right? So I really kudos to you, Sarah, for that.
Thank you. And it's not to say that when others are dealt with, these health challenges, that it isn't that they're not taking care of themselves. I think for sure that I have been placed in this position to be of comfort and of support to my family. Again, things happen to us because we can handle them. And yeah, I think it's been my role to sort of be the example of someone who is healthy and hasn't had to deal with these challenges so far. And yeah, I am so grateful for my health every single day, because we cannot take anything for granted. Everything that's happened to John, why did they happen? Certainly moving forward, there are things that we can do better, and so that we can be even healthier. But yeah, for whatever reason, I have not been hit with any of this, but I do know that I am doing my darndest to be the healthiest version of me. And yeah, I want to be around for my grandkids and possibly my great grandkids. And moving forward, I'm really excited for John and I, we're doing tandem bike riding. Thank you very much.
I saw that. That's amazing. You
Yeah,
get to be his eyes, right?
and he's back on the Cell Essentials, which I think the whole world should be on.
Oh, right, because he was doing his treatment. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, things happen, and then we can become an even better version of ourselves, right? So I see John and I riding on our tandem bike into the sunset as healthy as possible. And my kids, wow, what a gift we're providing to them, because that's the other thing, is my kids are watching us being as resilient as we are, their dad and their mom. And in spite of it all, we're still having fun, loving life. Every Christmas card, every birthday card they give us, there's always that little line there that says, "You guys are the strongest people we know. You're so inspiring." So they're watching, right? They're watching what we do, how we cope with life, and that's amazing. So resilience can be passed down from generation to generation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we wrap things up, with this podcast, I'm changing my final question because I've
Ooh.
decided to, it's been over 60 episodes now, and I'm going to ask something that I really personally just want to know about. And what I want to know, Sara, is through all the things that you've been going through all these challenges and your perspective on life, where has your gratitude practice been a part of this? What do you do specifically to practice gratitude?
Well, can I say first that when I think of the gratitude guru in my life, it's you. Seriously, seriously. You have embraced gratitude in so many ways. I've seen you grow, right? In the last, well, geez, almost 2 decades, right? 14, 15 years we've known each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, you've taught me how to practice gratitude by simply taking time to shift your energy and just think about the tiniest things you're grateful for. It's impossible to be grateful and be in an emotional state of anger or deception or discouragement so gratitude is such a powerful thing. So yeah, I mean, I believe that you and I are good friends because 15 years ago you were already destined to be this gratitude guru, and I think that if I was able to get through all that I've gone through my whole life, there's that gratitude piece in my list of core values. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. And that's super important, is the little tiny moments of gratitude, even when you're going through the most difficult times, with chemotherapy and supporting your husband, there's always that glimpse of gratitude in what you're sharing, what you're saying, and your attitude. It isn't just an attitude of gratitude. To me, it's a way of life and it's a way of being. And I see that in you. And there isn't, for you to have the attitude that you have, your outlook on life, gratitude is definitely built into that core value. So, Sara, if people want to connect with you, what's the best place for them to find you? Where do they connect?
Well, we have a wonderful Facebook group that's a private group. If you want to go and find a safe place, it's called Midlife MOJO
And I'll
Unleashed.
post the links for everyone too.
Yes. As well, I have a website, www.saramartel.ca. And yeah, that's a great place to
Instagram?
find me. Instagram, it's midlife_mojo_unleashed. My kids crack me up when they say, Mom, that is so extra, unleashed. But I'm like, but it is. It's Midlife MOJO Unleashed. Who doesn't want to feel their mojo no matter what chapter they are in their lives? So yeah, if especially a midlife woman who's listening today, come and join us and be part of the conversation. This is the best years of our lives. For
Your
so many
energy is
reasons.
great. And your energy on Instagram is great too. Your feed is always just really positive and uplifting, but you're authentic. Let's be clear. You are authentic about what's happening. And then you're also able to share, like you said, your joy and your gratitude and all that. So thank you so much, Sara. It's been such a joy to have you on the podcast and the video.
So fun.
And yeah, I'm just really grateful that we had this opportunity to share how you've become probably my most resilient friend. So thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, for this invite.